One. Okay.
Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back from our Easter vacation. Today is April 21st. This is the joint City of Fayetteville Cumberland County Liaison Committee meeting, and it is held here at the Cumberland County Courthouse, room 564. Today is again the 21st, and the time is 12:10. Committee members are as follows. Myself, Veronica Jones, I am the Vice Chairwoman for the County Commissioners. Co-chair is the lovely Mayor Pro Tem, Kathy Jensen, for the City of Fayetteville. Also on this committee, we have Chairman Kirk Deviere, Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, Mayor Mitch Colvin for the City of Fayetteville, Commissioner Pavan Patel for the County Commissioners, and City Council Member Courtney Bank McLaughlin, City of Fayetteville. Again, thank you all for being here today. We have a special presentation that's going to be all about transportation today. And no doubt, before we start that, I would ask those that can stand, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and for a prayer. And I'll be leading us today in prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you. We thank you for allowing us to gather today. We thank you for a wonderful weekend. We ask that you will keep all of our veterans and our soldiers out of harm as they go on their many missions, God. We also ask that you will keep those covered that are homeless, for we know that you too can keep them with hope and faith. We ask that every choice and decision that be made here today be done so in decency and order, and be that of guidance and wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To get started today, I would like to say that the mayor has a conflict of schedule, Mayor Mitch Colvin, so therefore he will not be joining us, as well as our own very own chairman, Mr. Kirk Deviere's conflict in schedule. They both are on traveling out of town, so we know that they are here with us in spirit. Okay, today's agenda. First thing that I would like to say is that we are excited, and just for those that are listening, the very important. So first of all, let me just say this. I want to remind everybody the whole concept and purpose of these meetings for the city and county to get together is for our leaders to come to the table, our elected officials, because we know the importance that every seat in here, we are here because we represent Fayetteville and we represent Cumberland County. The goal of these meetings is, again, for the quality of life. We want to make sure that we are making sure to touch on that of things that our community and citizens have said are important to them, such as health and wellness, such as that of transportation, such as that of public safety, and definitely that of overall quality of life. And we cannot exclude that, no doubt, of even education. So we want to make sure that when we sit in these seats and we make these choices and decisions, that those that are listening and our community, we do hear you. And again, that's our goal. How can we come together with action to, do things as the city and the county, and to bring back to our boards, how can we work together? And with that being said, transportation, no doubt, we here as a military town is also well known and growing community. We understand the importance of transportation. That was something that continuously kept coming to both the city, though they take the lead on that, and the county. So therefore today, I'm delighted to say we heard you, we're listening, and so today is a special all about transportation. And so from Sampo, we are going to have a presentation by the director, Hank Graham. When you leave here today, and for those listening, we hope then you will have a better understanding of who they are, what they do, where they already are in regards to work implementation. It takes a lot that goes behind the scenes, and that is another one of our goals. We really want to make sure that our community and our citizens understand that we're working on, your behalf and who's doing what, because that's the only way you can really move forward to the next actions. With that being said, I will ask for Mr. Hank Graham to please come forth for his presentation. And we thank you for taking time out of your day today to be here with us, and you can just explain who and what you all are all about and where you're at, you and your team, and next great steps that you all are doing. We appreciate your work in advance.
All right. Thank you so much for inviting me today. Worked on this presentation this weekend. Hopefully I won't ramble too much. I am, as as she stated, I am Hank Graham. I am the Executive Director for the Fayetteville Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. And today we're going to be talking about transportation issues for the city of Fayetteville and Cumberland County. What is an MPO, a Metropolitan Planning Organization? Metropolitan Planning Organizations is the Urbanized Area Policy Board and the Urbanized Area Boundary that is established to carry out the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process. These are federal mandates, federal requirements that were established back in 1971. MPOs are established to represent the localities in all urbanized areas, or UZAs. We use so many acronyms with transportation planning. With populations that are greater than 50,000 people within a contiguous concentrated urban area, as determined by the U.S. Census. And as most of you are aware, the census is conducted every decade, every 10 years, and the last one was conducted in 2020, and we received the updated urbanized area boundary information 2 years after. So we received our updated information on our urbanized area for Fayetteville in 2022, and we went through and established and conducted a new boundary expansion last year. MPOs are designated by agreement. We call them memorandums of understanding. We updated ours last year. The governor of North Carolina just signed our MOU that we adopted back in December. Urbanized areas that have concentrated populations of 200,000 or more are called transportation management areas, or TMA MPOs. They are considered large-size MPOs, and we are a TMA MPO. We are considered large. The TMA MPOs, FAMPO, has a stronger voice in setting priorities for implementing our projects listed in the Transportation Improvement Program at the state, and we are responsible for providing additional planning products as well. We received some additional funding. And this is a map of the state of North Carolina, of course. The colored areas show the 20 MPOs that we have established in the state of North Carolina. Of the 20, we are the 6th largest by population and one of the largest in land area as well. We even have the Grand Strand Area Transportation Study, which is the Myrtle Beach MPO that extends into the state of North Carolina. That's considered an MPO in our state as well. And you can see here the Fayetteville Area MPO. We did go through an expansion last year. And of course you see the capital area, Raleigh, huge MPO, and the Charlotte region MPO, very large as well. This is a map of our boundary, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but this particular map, our previous boundary is this rust-colored boundary that you see here. Our previous MPO, we were just within the southwestern corner of Harnett County. We never covered the eastern portion of Cumberland County. We just covered northern tip. It includes Parkton in Robeson County, and we go over into Hope County to incorporate or include the urbanized area of the town of Rakeford. Historically, or before we did our expansion, we did not cover all of Fort Bragg. It was just the urbanized or populated section of the base. But with our expansion, so everything that you see here in the yellow or the light beige color, that is our new MPO boundary. And so we had an agreement with the capital area MPO, which is shown as pink, or that light pink shade to the north of the map, to where we were going to split Harnett County the capital area MPO was going to take the northern half of Harnett, and we were going to take the southern half of Harnett. However, the town of Dunn did not wish to become part of either MPO, and so they were excluded, and they remain in the RPO, or Rural Planning Organization, outside of our MPOs. We will revisit that. I attempted to try and incorporate the small towns of Godwin, Falcon, Wade, and Linden in order to bring in the entire I-95 corridor into our boundary or area, but those small towns did not wish to come into the MPO. We will revisit all of that, and hopefully our MOU, we will get them added and incorporated in the future. The additional planning documents and responsibilities that I mentioned before, we have the larger document, or the largest document that we have is called the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, or CTP. It covers a 50-year time horizon, and we just updated our Comprehensive Transportation Plan early last year. A 20-year time horizon planning document for our transportation projects. And these plans, these transportation plans, they include all transportation modes. They include transit, aviation, rail, of course our highways and roadways, and bicycle and pedestrian modes of transportation. But the MTP is the main document. It is federally mandated for all MPOs, the 420 that we have nationwide. It has a 20-year time horizon, and we just updated ours last November, and it is our new 2050 MTP. The STIP, or State Transportation Improvement Program, that is every single transportation project that's included in a plan for the entire state of North Carolina. And like I said, including all modes of transportation. You know, all of our aviation projects, all of our rail projects, all of our bicycle and pedestrian projects. They are listed in that STIP. The time horizon for the STIP is a decade, 10 years. The first 4 years of the STIP is considered the actual STIP. Those projects are all funded. And the remaining, or the last 6 years of the 10-year STIP, is considered the developmental STIP. They're projects that are listed, or they did score high enough to be added, but they are not necessarily funded. And every 2 years we update our STIP. We go through a prioritization process. We call it SPOT. That's another acronym, but it's the State Planning Office for Transportation, and they rank and collect and score through a methodology and scoring system every single transportation project that's submitted from the mountains to the coast. And the projects that score the highest, they end up in the STIP, and the ones that don't score high enough based on funding levels and the threshold, they get kicked out and they have to be resubmitted 2 years later. The MTIP is our Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Plan. That is our local TIP, and it is what these two documents, the STIP and MTIP, need to mirror each other. We can add new transportation projects here locally, but then we would have to submit to the state to have those projects added to the state TIP, and it goes top down as well. If there are changes and amendments to the STIP, either scheduling or funding changes for specific projects, we also at the local level must mirror and change and amend our MTIP to match and mirror the STIP. Annually, we are required to adopt and approve, this is the MPO, a Unified Planning Work Program, which outlines all of the allocated funding that we receive for the MPO to do planning work and planning studies and all activities to promote transportation efforts throughout the Fayetteville area. I will maybe show a little bit. There are some major activities and projects that we will be working on for fiscal year 2026. Of course, we have a new interstate corridor study that's being conducted. It is a new interstate highway that will go between Greensboro and, I think the way it's listed in the federal transportation bill, to the city of Dunn. But we are working, we have representatives, we have our TAC chairman, Mr. Hondros, and we have our TAC vice chair, Mr. Patel. They are both on that steering committee for the corridor study for that new interstate highway expansion between Greensboro, and we're trying to get it to Fayetteville, of course. We call it, or it has been named, Corridor K. Of course, the interstate or I-95 widening project is still underway, and it will be completed in Fayetteville by the end of the calendar year, but work in Harnett County and Robeson County to the state line will continue for another 2 years. But work is progressing. I know everyone has seen the benefits. I mean, the completed sections of the Interstate 95, I've been quite impressed. You know, the 8-lane expansion, it's quite nice. We are proposing a major transit study for the entire Fampo area for fiscal year 26. I will get a little more in detail about that in the remaining part of the presentation. And our locally administered projects program implementation. Last year, the Fayetteville MPO governing board approved and authorized approximately $21 million of allocated funds that we do receive, and we get to distribute those funds to local governments on projects that they wish to do, and that is our locally administered projects program. And like I said, I'll get a little more in detail about that as well. Locally administered projects program. We have 3 funding sources that we, as a TMA MPO, large size MPO, we receive these funds to do with as we please. We can do planning studies, we can actually construct transportation projects. The transportation projects that we get to fund with these 3 funding sources, so the TAP DA, or is Transportation Alternatives Program, direct attributable funding. It provides funds for primarily non-highway projects. It's primarily bicycle and pedestrian funding. You know, greenway trails, sidewalk improvements, that sort of thing. Intersection improvements for a small town. Say, for example, Rayford, they wanted to apply for a greenway trail, and they did. We have one that was approved in Hope County for a greenway trail to residential neighborhoods behind their new aquatic center off of Rayford Road. The STBG-DA, or Surface Transportation Block Grant Direct Attributable funding that we receive, is for primarily highway projects. And as you can see, we have an annual apportionment that we receive, and we have a total amount where we are, I guess we will do a call for projects every 3 years. So we had a total of $17.6 million available for highway projects, and for the TAP DA, we had a total of $2.2 million for bike ped projects, and then a new or recent or the current transportation bill authorization allocation for carbon reduction funding. We receive about $700,000 a year, and for 3 or more years, or 5 years, I'm sorry, we have $3.5 million for that. So those can be used for transit projects in order to reduce carbon emissions. Whoa, I don't need that. I think we are here. All right. This is the UPWP, or Unified Planning Work Program. and our TAC, or Transportation Advisory Committee that I mentioned, that City Councilman Dino Hondros is the chair of our FAMPO governing board. They did just recently approve our UPWP for FY26, and in that UPWP, this is where I've highlighted in red this transit study that we are proposing. It comes with an estimated cost of $500,000. And this is to look at and assess all all transit options. We're gonna do the study and look at ways to consolidate resources, consolidate funding options, and it would be a combination of the Fayetteville Area System of Transit, the Harnett Area Rural Transit System, or HARTS, which is their demand response or community planning transportation program, similar to the Cumberland County Community Transportation Program that we have here in Cumberland. And then Hope County also has a demand response community transportation program called the Hope Area Transit Service, or HATS. And this study we would take the $500,000, we would go through a procurement process, hire an experienced public transit consulting firm to assist us in finding ways to maximize the leveraging of our funding, our resources, to make transportation and transit much better for our entire Fayetteville area. One of the main things that we are aware of, there's an existing public transit or transit study that's taking place right now. In Harnett County, it is for the northern half within the capital area MPO boundary, but we are going to do one for the entire Fayetteville area. And so one of the major recommendations that's going to probably come out of that northern Harnett transit study is microtransit. Microtransit, unlike the traditional public transit or bus service, it combines traditional bus service with ride sharing, allowing riders to travel anywhere within the defined or funded service area. Riders could also request to go to or from a defined service area to another regional area. Maybe some folks could or would be interested in receiving trips to go to the Triangle, go to Duke Medical Center, or go to UNC Medical Center for healthcare trips and things of that nature. Users could request a ride in real time with microtransit systems the way that they are being proposed and set up through the use of an app on a smartphone, through the computer from a website, or through a phone call. It's very flexible and convenient. These are the types of things that we expect that would result from such a study. Benefits would be direct service with a phone, the internet, or an app-based reservation, flexible routes, and ride tracking. We'd be able to do all of that. Some of the challenges with microtransit, passengers may not have access to these iPhones or the internet, and they may not feel comfortable using a smartphone app, so there would be a need to continue to have telephone scheduling in an older way. Additional operating cost for this new service, is the ramp up of implementing all of the technology and things that would be needed to implement the program. And there may be longer wait times if we don't have a fleet that's large enough to service all requested trips. These are some examples of this microtransit concept in the state of North Carolina. It's not a lot. I would say maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 have been implemented, but this is a future option that I'm thinking we will be heading towards in the future here in Fayetteville. The Johnson County introduced the microtransit program in March of 2023 to improve current services through their JCATS program. Users can request a ride for $6 through a mobile app, and JCAT operates this system or service between Monday and Saturday in the Smithfield and Selma area. Their fleet of ADA accessible vans, not full-size buses, provides over 12,000 rides annually. The RIDE program, the City of Wilson introduced a microtransit system in September of 2020. The RIDE replaced the city's bus system. The service provides rides for a cost of $2.50 per passenger. Users can request the rides anytime through the mobile app or online or by phone. And the rides operate Monday through Saturday. And they have fleet vans as well. And so these are numbers that were taken or provided in 2022. 156,000 trips were taken in 2022. That's pretty impressive, I think. The Smart Shuttle. The town of Morrisville, well, Morrisville, of course, is in the Triangle, introduced a free microtransit service in October of 2021. Prior to coming down here, I was the planner for the Research Triangle Park, and I know that the town of Morrisville was awarded through the capital area MPO's locally administered projects program funding, and that is why and how they are able to provide this service free, because they were awarded their LAP funding in order to provide it for free. The service runs 7 days a week in Morrisville. It connects residents with 17 shuttle stops all throughout the city, and this includes the connection to the Go Triangle bus network, which makes the residents available. They have access to all of the Go Triangle communities, which is the cities of Cary, Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill. Riders can book a ride using the mobile app or a desktop app on their computer. And as you can see, they provided 11,000 trips in 2022. Proposed Fampole microtransit. I know some of the initial requests that came from the town of Hope Mills to look at ways to provide an express transit route or express transit to the town of Hope Mills, to our major attraction areas in Fayetteville, like the mall or like Fort Bragg. And these were some preliminary routes. There was an internal route, fixed route in the town of Hope Mills, and then there were some that actually went to like Cross Creek Mall, Cape Fear Valley Health Center, like I was saying. So these are the future purposes and benefits that could happen with microtransit. Who can use it? It can be used by a wide range of folks, including students, parents, workers, and of course our senior citizens. It would be done, the study would be done in 2 phases. The first phase would be primarily a survey or an assessment of where we stand today with all of those transit systems that I mentioned, and you know, an assessment of all of our funding sources and what we have available. And then the public plus our governmental staff and our elected officials would be able to complete that assessment. We would establish a core technical team of staff from all of our local jurisdictions within our MPO boundary to be represented on that committee, and we would collect the data. The consultants that we select or hire through a procurement process would then just, you know, provide and utilize that technical team to receive feedback and guidance from. The second phase will be an implementation phase. After we receive and complete the study, there would be an implementation plan, and we would be able to have a transit, be able to implement, the recommendations of the transit study, whether it be fixed routes or some type of micro transit, maybe a regional micro transit system. I don't know. We have lots of options. I think the possibilities are endless. I think once the plan is complete, we would tweak it, make improvements as needed to make the system operate better in the future. That's probably, it's a lot, but the MPO it's a big deal, and we have about 15 local governmental jurisdictions. I am willing to attempt to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Graham. At this time, I will open the floor. Are there any questions about the presentation? And if you don't mind, Mr. Graham, can you make sure that the county commissioner's excellent presentation, as well as the city council, we receive a copy of that by email if possible?
I will.
Any questions from anyone? I actually have a brief question,
Okay.
if you don't mind. I would like to know, and definitely for our listening community audience, your board, how many members do you have on your board? And also, how often do you all meet? And when and where, and is it open up to the public for those that might be interested in coming to sit in some of your meetings? Can you give us that information, please?
Yes, we actually have, I could have included so many additional slides. We actually have three boards. We have a Citizens Advisory Board that is comprised of citizens within the jurisdictional area of the entire MPO. We have a Technical Advisory Board, or TAC, Technical Coordinating Committee, that is comprised of staff that represents all of the jurisdictions, and they meet. And we have a governing board, as I mentioned, the Transportation Advisory Committee that Councilman Hondros is chairman of, and Commissioner Patel is vice chair. All of the boards meet bi-monthly. We start the meetings in January, and then subsequently March, May, etc. And they meet. The Citizens Advisory Board and the Technical Committee of Staff meet the second Wednesday of those months, January, March, May, and the TAC meets on the fourth Wednesday of those months. But all of our boards meet bi-monthly, and they are all open to the public. We list and add our meeting calendar and schedule on our webpage, which is www.fampo.org.
Thank you.
And yes, always, we welcome all public participation. Yes.
I know that the Mayor Pro Tem has a question. I have one more question. At those meetings, are they allowed, as far as meeting the public, are they allowed to give input or write questions or statements, or are they just there for listening?
They can have a public input time. We just haven't had public participation in a long time, but there would be a period of time for them to make opening statements or get, and I think we have a 2-minute time frame for them at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. And Mayor Pro Tem Kathy Jensen has a question for you.
So, thank you, Madam Chairman. So not necessarily a question, I am a sitting member of that board too, have been there for about, I think, 3 years now. What, I'm going to go back to Madam Chairman's question. I think it would be a positive feedback for people that are in the MPO. I know that we do have representatives come, but to let people know that it is open to the public, because it is literally like drinking from a fire hydrant of so much that the MPO does, so much that they have to navigate, that you just can't come in and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, because there's so many moving pieces and so many partners involved. And to our chair and vice chair, they have a lot to hold right now with I-65 coming up. It is a complete game changer for our region, and it's a very important challenge that we have ahead of us. So I just didn't want people to leave here thinking that Mr. Graham came up here with a presentation. What he does and the committee that is involved from our whole region up to Rayford is changing the economic development of this city. So it is a very important thing. But before I stop with that, I do have a question on this transit services through Harnett and the Hogue area. Have we done a study before?
Not a transit study that I'm aware of. I don't think any of my predecessors conducted a regional transit study. I think these TMA or STBG DA funding, we've always been allocated those funds. We did not start using them until I got here.
Okay.
I mean, as you see, we had, for a 3 to 5 year time period, we have $20 million to do low-hanging fruit transportation projects.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so this is new. But as you can see, there are a few transit systems throughout the state, and the North Carolina Department of Transportation's Integrated Mobility Division that deals with public transit, they are really excited about this micro-transit idea. They really are.
So, Mr. Graham, could you kind of just give a brief synopsis of what we have talked about for rail too? Because I know that we have had Fort Bragg out at our meetings and we have spoken about rail intensely.
That is true. We have our regular rail projects and rail projects that are listed in the STIP, but I just want to give an update of the previous, or what many of you may know, the previous Fayetteville to Raleigh passenger rail study. That has not gone away. For a long time, I know I was telling our board that the state was working on updating a statewide rail plan, and they did that, I guess, from 2021 to 2022. 2023, they took the final results of that plan and submitted it to the USD Department of Transportation and asked for special funding to upgrade and construct a brand new passenger rail line between Raleigh and Richmond, Virginia. It'd be kind of like an upgrade of the existing line, and it would allow for new trains and higher speeds. But in receiving those funds, which they were successful in receiving those funds from the USDOT to upgrade and construct that new passenger rail line between Raleigh and Richmond. In addition to that funding, they were also awarded, the state of North Carolina was also awarded funding for 7 passenger rail corridors to feed the city of Raleigh, or that station. And the Fayetteville to Raleigh corridor was one of those that was funded. Not only will the study be funded, but the actual implementation of the line, it will actually be funded as well.
Okay, before I let you leave, I have one other question. Other than the city of Fayetteville, do we have any other transportation modes in our I know that Rayford has theirs, Hogue County, but do we have any around the county right now that let our listening audience?
When you say other than Fayetteville and Rayford, we have, well, you know, our other local governments. Are you speaking to specifically transit? Transit, yes. Okay, yeah, just those 4 systems that I mentioned. Now, of course, there's private demand response services and systems. Actually, the Cumberland County program is contract, and we subcontract the provision of the entire program through private vendors.
So if you're outside of the city and you need transportation, you can call that company?
Correct.
And
actually, they call the Cumberland County Community Transportation Program,
And they set it
and
up
our
for them.
staff kind of acts kind of like dispatchers with the private vendors.
Okay, and what is the budget for that?
It's around $1 million a year, but you know the funds go up and down, and things are a little in flux with our federal allocation.
And provided through FAMPO, correct?
Correct. Well, and some of the funds for those systems are also distributed and provided through FAST, because FAST is the direct recipient of some of those rural program funds.
And Mr. Graham, thank you for mentioning that. I'm going to be mindful of the time because we do have another speaker, and I don't, Mr. Commissioner Patel, do you have any questions or input?
Director Graham, I just wanted to thank you, and to Mayor Pro Tem Jensen's point, we really want to push hard on this I-685 corridor. I know for our community, it's a lot about force readiness, and also for the state, it gives us, you know, an artery from the coast that's not just I-40. So as we're working on it, you know, we really appreciate FAMPO and your support and your staffs. Do you, just so kind of everyone knows, do you know what the timeline, or could you share a little bit more about the timeline on 685 from where we are today till maybe it might 20 years?
So primarily, that corridor was added as an individual project. You know, it kind of mirrored an old earmark project. We had a legislative delegate who actually incorporated that corridor into the National Transportation Bill that was adopted by Congress back in 2023. And this is primarily a feasibility study. And then after the feasibility study is kind of outlined, it'll morph into an environmental impact study. Okay, and typically environmental impact studies for interstate corridors like this would be anywhere from 5 to 7 years. They used to take 10 years. And then there's environmental groups that will sue, and then you have to deal with the litigation. But I'm thinking that this will be a 5-year completion.
Thank you.
And Mr. Graham, and thank you, Commissioner Patel, for that, because actually I just have 3 more things real quick, and you can make them very brief. Doesn't have to be longevity again. I know Ms. Campbell has to speak. But in regards to our community, always very mindful of, and I'm very intentional about making sure that the needs for those with disabilities, if you could just talk briefly a little bit about that. Glad that you mentioned FAST, and as well, no doubt, the county, because we do have services not just for individuals with disabilities, but those that, you know, low income or in the rural areas. So if you could talk a little bit about those services, especially for those that are listening, number one, and then and how people can utilize those services or what they need to do to sign up for that. That's number one. And then second question would be in regards to the smart shuttle, how you were stating that there's a study that's already done in Morrisville, and there's a study, am I not correct, that you stated we're doing here for our community? Is that not correct?
Yes, we will be doing.
And so I would like the time limit. First question first, and the second one would be then on that particular study, as far as the microtransit, sounds very interesting. They can be free, and then the services that can be utilized. Do we have a time frame on that where we might hopefully be able to get that project off the ground, or is it not in that stage yet? So Those 2 questions.
All right, so the first one. So the slide that I showed where the study would focus on leveraging resources and funding options amongst all of the regional transit agencies, FAST being the major transit system that we have in our area. But those county, I guess for lack of a unifying term, community transportation programs do provide services for the physically and lower income population groups. Though they receive funding sources from the Federal Transit Agency or administration to operate their systems. Hope County has one, Harnett County has one, Cumberland County has one within the Fayetteville area. As I mentioned, the Fayetteville area system of transit also receives some funding sources that can be sub-allocated as they are the direct recipient. Those funds can be sub-allocated to these community or rural transportation services, but those county or rural services are the ones that are providing trips and transportation for our elderly and physically and mentally challenged population groups.
Thank you. And you can visit our website for those listening, cumberlandcounty.gov, and I do know that our information about those services for individuals that might have mobility, wheelchairs, and low income, so just wanted to put that plug out there. And again, thank you so much. I asked you about the boards. We know that this is a lot of work to be done, and the fact that you have 3 boards speaks a lot in the communities involved, and so we know that behind the scenes there's a lot. We appreciate the education. It's very important for our community to be able to know that these things take times and years, and so I feel like this puts a bigger perspective of the framework for our community to understand that it's a process, but it's definitely one that's working well, and we appreciate you and your team as well as everyone that serves on these particular committees. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, continuing on with the agenda, and thank you so much, Mr. Graham.
All right,
So
thank you.
now we will be moving on to number 4 on the agenda, North Carolina Department of Transportation. We actually are going to have a representative that works for the city transportation, and that's going to be Ms. Tiffany McNeil, and she will explain to you a little bit about what city transportation and all the great things that they're doing to help us continue to have transportation here in Fayetteville and Cumberland County.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Tiffany Neal.
Good afternoon.
I'm the city's transit director for the city of Fayetteville, Fayetteville Area System of Transit, or you may know us as FAST. Just a little bit about us. We are fixed route and paratransit services is what we provide. We run about 18 fixed routes, and when I say fixed route, I'm talking about the larger buses that go from point A to point B. We have 30 vehicles in our fleet. We also run a complimentary paratransit program with about 21 vehicles. We also, and those are for our elderly and disabled persons. You do have to be certified and can reach out to us to get those specific details on how to become eligible. That service does operate 3/4 of a mile outside of our fixed route as required by law. From a funding perspective, we receive about 35% of our funding from the from the federal government, and 65% is coming from local funds. Last year, we completed about 1.5 million passenger trips. That was up about 77,000 trips from last year, from 2019, and so we're pretty excited about that. And what are we doing at FAST? We just completed a transit development plan in 2022. That's our 10-year framework. It really helps us to look at where we are and how do we get to where we would like to be in 10 years. One of the things we recognize is we are a system of need, and so 80% of our passengers, our customers, need us. We're trying to transition to a system of choice where we are a viable option within our community. This month, we just completed our Title VI survey. That survey allowed us to look at our system as a whole and find areas that we can tighten up and become more efficient. So we just got that plan completed and adopted and approved, by our city council. And next, we will be embarking on our own feasibility study. We have a large area in our central location. It's downtown at the Transit Center, 505 Franklin Street. We have an operations and maintenance facility on Grove Street, but we are expanding, especially with the addition of our brand new battery electric buses. Other than that, I'm subject to your questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions at this time? Councilman Jonas, please speak. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman. One question for you, Director Neal. Thank you for that, kind of in a nutshell. For everyone in the room, between Fayetteville, the county, and the city, what's the singular thing we could do to support FAST and its mission when you say become a ridership of choice versus need? What's the one thing that would help drive that?
Can I say two? Coordination and collaboration. Us working together to become that system of choice, all of us together, would help us help ourselves.
And then if I may, a follow-up, what is more important, funding or ridership? Or the
Both are important. Ridership helps to drive some of our funding as well. So when you look at it, they're not equally important. Ridership is really, really important. You want to get as many persons you can moving throughout the community as best you can. So if I had to prioritize the two, I would say ridership and then funding.
So what can we do to support ridership, increasing ridership?
There are a whole lot of things. Funding especially. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any more questions at this time? Input? Okay, well, we thank you so much for that information, and all those listeners listening. You have heard the different websites, particularly to FAMPO, also the City of Fayetteville and Cumberland County. We will be moving on. We're making great on time. We appreciate everyone being here. Number 5 on the agenda, items of new business, and I definitely do have some new business that I would like to discuss at this time. Pretty much just more comments. When we speak of transportation, we think of our overall community. We also think about transition and other areas. This weekend, unfortunately, bad news for our community. As we know, some know and some people don't know, so I feel like I would like to address it. Salvation Army Pathway of Hope Shelter that is on Alexander Street in Fayetteville closed suddenly, and that did take place. With that being said, I want to make sure that I don't misquote anyone. We know that we are a village that takes care of each other. We are our brothers and sisters keepers, and so I wanted to give a few updates, and I think that would be a good point for me to start. And number 1, there was an article that was written, she works for WRL, by Monica Cassie, and no doubt the mayor has made a statement in regards to the fact, as well as our leader, our chairman. And I would like to just read their statements in case you all have not heard the news, because definitely, no doubt, we will be in support. And so in her article, as it states, the mayor stated, Mayor Coven, we are saddened to hear about the closure of this valuable community asset. He also stated the city has been and continues to be committed to working at all the community partners to address this important issue. Cumberland County Chairman, which is Chairman Deviere, he stated in his statement, we are deeply concerned about the announcement regarding the immediate closure of the Salvation Army Emergency Shelter in Fayetteville. Our chairman also stated that this shelter has been a vital resource for our most vulnerable residents, and he has assured you that we here at the county, we know the importance of an emergency shelter in our region, and we will work with the Salvation Army and other community partners to address this need. So that is a statement that was provided in a report by WRL, Monica Cassie, statement from the leaders in this community, Mayor Mitch Coven, as well as our leader also, Mr. Kirk Deviere, Chairman Deviere for the Board of Commissioners. With that being said, that leads me to my next avenue. A lot of people have been asking about the Unhoused Committee. I serve as the chair, as well as a committee of that committee member is also Commissioner Patel, as well as also Commissioner Tyson. Please be advised that we understand the importance and sensitivity of an unhoused shelter, and we have been working due diligently, meaning our staff and our team, Mayor Greer. There's a lot of schematics that go on behind the scenes, so be encouraged and just know that there will be a meeting to be announced coming forth in May. Don't have the time right now because, again, just as with transportation, when it comes to the unhoused, we're going to do it right, and we want to make sure that all of the elements that go on behind the scene, it takes a lot, and that's what we're working on right now. But I can assure you that we want to thank all the listeners in our community. We are here working due diligently for you, for the best benefit of our community. There will be a meeting that will be announced. Follow our social media, follow our website. So up and coming for May is an unhoused meeting. And then the same with the Aquatic Center. I know a lot of people are excited, a lot of good things coming. I can tell you this, there won't be a meeting in May for the Aquatic Center. One thing at a time. We are dealing with, all these projects are $100 million projects and more. So when you have that type of funding, you have a lot of people behind the scenes. Again, we want to do it right. So that's an update. There will be a meeting for aquatics that won't take place until June. One thing at a time. Priorities. And so, as we know, unhoused is definitely priority, meeting for that in May. And I can also tell you that on May 19th, we understand the importance of childcare. May 19th in this very room, 12 o'clock, we hear you, we hear what our community is saying. There will be another special meeting in regards to childcare, which you can expect at that time. Speakers from the Partnership for Children of Cumberland County, also Brenda Jackson or one of her representatives for the Department of Social Services. And we will also have someone from the Cumberland County school system to talk about prime time after school care. Although that's not per se child care, we know the importance that when your children have to be taken care of, there's also a need when you're at work that does have an element to do with, no doubt, where can they be to make sure that they're studying. So very important meeting on May 19th at 12 o'clock. We hope that we will see everyone here and the importance of child care. Great up and coming things here at the county. We look forward to working with the city. So that's pretty much the main three updates that you can expect. May 19th, child care, if you have an interest in that and knowing what's going on with what's out there for you. Unhoused project, there will, again, as I stated, be a meeting May TBA to be announced. And then in June, we will move forward with that of having our first meeting. Again, we're working behind the scenes. That project in itself, I will tell you this, as I chair that, and I will be on that committee with Mr. Patel, Commissioner Patel, our Chairman Deviere, as well as also Commissioner Tyson. And that particular committee will consist of other members within the community from other municipalities. So again, we thank everyone for your patience. Just know that we are working due diligently on those particular projects, as well as the project, the projects go on and on with the Crown. And this is all for the community. We don't take this for granted that we are in these seats to, teamwork makes the dream work, to represent you. And on that note, that's the only updates. And as you've heard me read the statement from Mayor Colvin as well as from Mayor Kirk Deviere, we will make sure that we work due diligently. No one's going to be left behind to help those in the unhoused population. I know I look forward to, and speaking on the behalf of the commissioners, doing whatever we can do to support Chairman Deviere to work with those at the Salvation Army to see what we can do to make sure that a service that is now not there, what would be the next steps? And would you have any closing remarks on behalf of the city as far as Salvation Army or anything?
No, I was going to see if our city manager would like to say anything, have any updates.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Vice Chairman, as well. We in the city understand the pain about the projects. Happy to announce that we are getting ready to move forward and completing, doing additional testing and completing Fire Station 4. It's been right at a year while we've been working with the surety company to try to come to some understanding. Anyone who's ever been in a car accident or anything like that knows that you can't move forward until your insurance company's on board with you. So we've been working with them as closely as we can. And I think that the county and the citizens, more importantly, and the fire department will start seeing some activity on that in the coming months. And the council has also been very instrumental in helping us move forward with Mabel Smith, and we hope to open that later this, I guess, summer, early fall, along with the tennis center project as well. And the sidewalks on Rose Hill Road are being before you know it. I don't wish to put any of that on anybody about projects, but the manager, Greer, and I will both know that it's called life in a fishbowl, that everything we do moves and shakes in that regard. And then the last one is something of community concern along with the county as well, is we're moving very fast as we can to get a replacement for our police chief, and you'll start seeing some activity on that in May. We extended an offer for our Office of Community Safety, which will also be helpful in the homeless arena, the mental health arena, and some other things about community safety, and we hope to have that person start sometime in June. A lot of good news coming out of City Hall, and I think that looking forward to the collaboration with the county and the chairman and the mayor and anything that happens with the Salvation Army.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Greer, if you don't mind, actually, let me go back. My apologies. We have a special guest with us. We have the town manager here. The mayor of Eastover is here with us today. Thank you so much. He's been very good about making sure to come to these meetings, and as we are also trying to make sure that we include the other municipalities. So I appreciate you being at, I think it's your third meeting. Ever since we've invited you, you've been attending, and we appreciate that. And so, again, thank you and your community for what you all are doing. And can you give us some updates of just a little bit about what's happening outside of Eastover?
Well, Eastover's doing good, but not only that, I serve as the Mayor's Coalition Chairman for
Well, that's wonderful.
Cumberland County, but I just wondered, I got one question for the transportation guy, and he's gone, so it's too late.
No, he's right here.
No, he's here. Why did the smaller municipalities opt out of that FAMCO?
I think I don't know, they felt committed to the rural planning organization at the time. Maybe they felt that FAMPO was a little urban, a little large for them. But, it's the I-95 corridor.
But it's an advantage to them to be more.
It is. Different political climate today. We're going to revisit.
Right.
And done also.
Correct.
That was going to be my input. This is 2025, and good time to maybe sidebar, revisit that. And then, so any more input you'd like to provide?
No, that's all I have, but I appreciate you having me.
Yes, and thank you. We appreciate you coming to support and giving us updates, because again, the municipalities is right on the outside, and a lot of interaction with individuals that live in your community actually work in Fayetteville and also in Cumberland County. So we definitely appreciate that. And Mr. Greer, I would like you to give an update. It would be negligent on my behalf. Speaking of transportation, I keep hearing out in the community concerns and just an update when it comes to some sheriffs as far as the police cars needing to be updated, and then also concerns from people that are at DSS in reference to social workers using their own cars. So if you could just give us an update about where we're at with that when it comes to the county, number one, and then other things that are going on behind the scenes with the county. I appreciate that.
Chairwoman Jones, thank you. The biggest thing right now is that we're going through an inventory update, looking at all the inventories for both sheriff vehicles and DSS vehicles, make sure we have put eyes on them. Then we'll bring back to the board in January, the commissioners back in January, a recommendation and a policy document to move forward with funding both sheriff vehicles and DSS vehicles. One of the biggest concerns is that I've had, and some of you all have mentioned, is that we have DSS employees driving their own personal cars, and the liability, potential liability, if something was to if they were in an accident or something of that nature. And so that's the largest concern. As far as anything else, just working through the budget process, looking forward, we're working with the city on a resolution or a solution for Salvation Army and some other items that we have. But right now, I would say everything with the county is moving in a positive direction. And we're doing everything we can to make sure we uplift the lives of citizens within the county.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. And at this time, if there's no any questions, I would like to announce that all are welcome. We do have a Cumberland County regular meeting tonight. It will be held in courtroom 118, 645. This is open to the public if those would like to join us. And also the next meeting in regards to the city-county liaison, which is taking place now. Again, that will be on May 19th at 12 o'clock. And the sole goal for that particular meeting will be all about child care. So if there's no more questions at this time, meeting is adjourned.